When we're scoring the risk likelihood, we're asking the participants to evaluate what they feel to be the likelihood of that risk element occurring during the planning period that your risk scorecard or this risk analysis covers. So typically that's a 12-month period, and so the question is, what is the likelihood that this risk is going to occur over the next 12 months? Now, just like we had with rating the impact of the risk, there are different scales you can use to define the 1 to 5 rating on likelihood. The typical score description is along these lines. We use rare, unlikely, possible, likely, and almost certain. And then the description of it is the likelihood of those things occurring, some more detail behind those words. In some cases, you add a fourth column in which describes examples in each of those categories. The IRM has defined it slightly differently in terms of 5, 3, and 1, and gives, again, examples of indicators of what that might look like. Ontario Hydro has slightly adjusted the schedule and terminology that they use from remote to virtually certain, and they look at a probability, but for them the time horizon is 5 years. So again, these slides are provided. You need to review them and choose definitions around the scale of 1 to 5 that suits your organization. Once you've done that, you can then use the spreadsheet to score the risk likelihood. So again, we're going to go to that risk input tab, which should look something like this with your risk impacts documented. And then with your team, you're going to select the likelihood of that risk element occurring within that planning period. And then you're going to use your scale of 1 to 5. And so by the time you're completed, it will look a bit like this. Now, I've described a process here where you do the risk impact first and likelihood second. And we found that's a useful way to get a more realistic view of likelihood. But you can work out with your team whether you want to do the likelihood first and then the impact, or the way that we're recommending. But by the time we're done this step, we should have both the impact and likelihood completed.